Welcome back, everybody. Malik here. It's been a fantastic day of Overwatch action so far, and we are so honored to be joined by CJ Anderson of the LA Rams, the running back. Everybody give him a hand for joining us today. How you doing, CJ?
Doing real good.
Thank you for joining us, man. You been having a good time today?
Oh, yeah, hell of a time, having fun.
Tell me what you thought about that last match. You basically witnessed history being made here at the Overwatch League.
Yeah, it was just good. The energy was in here, it was live. I mean, I know what it feels like to be an underdog. It always feels good, even though Boston beat us in the Super Bowl, but it always feels good to beat Boston in anything you can possibly do. So, you know, at one point when I was with the Broncos, we was an underdog and it was a snow game. I had the game-winning touchdown in overtime. That helped us win the Super Bowl and put us over the hump. So it's good to see Shanghai come over and win beating Boston.
Right. You got the ring off of that. All right, so you actually play a lot of video games yourself. Let's start off with Overwatch. Do you have any like specific heroes you like to play in the game?
Reaper's probably one of them.
Yo! We just became best friends just now, just to let y'all know. That's what's up. Give me some time for that. All right, so you play Reaper. That's my favorite character. Everybody, it's well known. All right, and also you have a Twitch channel as well, right? So where can we find you on Twitch?
Twitch.tv/CJ Anderson. Have a lot of fun, play Smash Bros, play Call of Duty. Yeah, big Smash Bros guy. So, you know, if you want to see me Fox, we're going to catch them hands, whoever want to play against me. But twitch.tv/CJ Anderson. And then also twitch.tv/MrFurley_11. You know, that's my brother who also in the building tonight. So, you know, we'll catch anything, Apex, whatever.
All right, word up. All right, so last thing, there are two LA teams. You play for the Rams, but we have here in the Overwatch League, we have the... Yeah, right, you're right about that. All right, so we have the Gladiators and we have the Valiant, both. Which one is like your team?
I don't want to go into that. I don't want to.
Fair enough. All right. He's going to keep that one tucked in with, hey, CJ, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, we got Houston and Hangzhou coming up next, so stay tuned. We're going to get this thing all kicked off with our casters, Mr. X and Uber.
I was like, am I Monte Cristo? I was like,
my bad.
That's CJ Anderson down there. Let's go. That's epic.
That
Oh, man, someone should probably tell him that the Rams and the Gladiators are affiliated, but that's okay. Great to see him down here. I mean,
doesn't want to pick sides.
It's been a banner day for the Overwatch League so far. We're super stoked. We've got some fantastic games ahead, and let's jump straight on in. Hangzhou Spark going up against the Houston Outlaws, two teams who couldn't be in more different places right now.
Yeah, Houston has had a rough stage one thus far. I know it's tough for this meta for them. You know, the one area where they addressed in the offseason was their DPS. You know, damage dealers aren't as important in this meta. You see Dante right now, you know, playing a ton of Zarya for this team. You know, Zarya is obviously a tank, but a lot of the damage dealers pick her up. His Sombra is very strong. I think maybe in this match you'll see a little bit more Sombra play from Dante. Get some Sombra. I know Sombra goes. Sombra, you know, with some tanks, some supports.
Is he the right fit for this team? Has he solved the problems that we saw the Outlaws that sort of suffered from last season?
Yes. I don't think you've seen it this far. I think when you see the meta change and you know maybe we have some more damage dealing heroes being played, I really think he is going to solve a lot of the problems for the Outlaws. I think right now though they're just stuck in a tough meta.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, time to welcome to the stage our team from the Lone Star State. It is the Houston Outlaws. Matt, very experienced roster. These players have been around, some of them since the very beginning of Overwatch, with close beta. One of the oldest teams on average in the Overwatch League. That definitely comes with a degree of experience and maturity, but 0-2 currently.
And look, like I mentioned, this meta is not ideal for them. You'd love to see them play, you know, some more DPS comps where you can utilize somebody like Jake. Jake will be in the starting 6 here for this control map. So you're going to be playing 3 of your damage dealers in Muma here, you know, Muma the sole tank. So you wonder, are they going to play some more, DPS heavy comps, damage dealing comps, or are they going to have one of these damage dealers pick up that D.Va or Zarya role?
I mean, who knows? We'll have to wait to see how that all pans out. There's one thing I do know, though. There is no one that looks prettier in pink than the Hangzhou Spark. What an exciting, explosive roster. Rhea, obviously a player that's already created headlines for himself, Matt. Bazzi, of course, coming in there, heavy-hitting DPS player. So much personality on this team. They look so good in that map 5 against Los Angeles Valiant. And honestly, the rest of their stage is looking pretty good. They're in a good spot for playoffs already.
And look, it's really early on, but I think at least in this stage, they have to be one of the front runners. When you look at this roster, very strong top to bottom. The main tank, no smite, phenomenal. You know, they have Gushui on the bench. You know, they can alternate them at main tank.
And they have.
Probably the best kind of main tank lineup you can have in any team, you know, that we have in the Overwatch League. What I love about this team is that they can play the 3-3. They can play a lot of other wacky DPS-centric comps. And they're very strong at both. We've seen Vancouver, you know, they play a really strong 3-3. Yep. We've seen them a little bit with like the Brig McCree comp. We haven't really seen them like explore much out of that. This Spark team, I think, can do it all.
And they've demonstrated that. I think their match against the Valiant was a good example of them showing us a little bit more of that tank-focused play, which we weren't really expecting.
You know, and the Valiant game was close, but we also saw how good the Valiant is because they played NYXL really close here today. So I think this is a very tough match for the Outlaws. I'm excited to see this beginning lineup, though, with the more damage dealers to see how they utilize it.
Here's your map set, ladies and gentlemen, presented by Toyota. It all starts on the map of Busan. You know, we obviously see a lot more Boink now in this Houston Outlaws squad. He only played about 33% or like a third of the matches for the Outlaws last season, and he and Bunny only played together once.
Which is pretty much his entire playtime is stage 2. If you think back to last year, you know, Mercy meta, really a ton of Mercy in the support role. In stage 1, 3, and 4, the only stage we saw a ton of Lucio last year was in stage 2. That's where Boink got all of his run. Otherwise, they were pretty much playing Bonnie a lot of the time. So it's interesting how they work Boink into being a mainstay of this roster, at least here at the beginning of the season.
And I guess he was a player that, you know, spent a decent amount of time on the bench, but always was in the mix and definitely came in for those maps when they really required the Lucio to make a difference. So now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get some energy up in here. It's the Hangzhou Spark take on the Houston Outlaws. It all kicks off here on Busan.
And when you see this lineup for the Outlaws, you know, the players on the stage, this is what you expect. So, you know, Hangzhou Spark, they come out, they're going to play, you know, this is kind of like the old school dive, so to speak. You know, a little variation in terms of supports, right? You have Moira in here.
Looks like they're expecting as well no Diva on the opposite side.
A great comp to go after a Hammond or a Wrecking Ball, right? Muma playing the Wrecking Ball for the Houston Outlaws. You can get hacks, you can burst them down with the Tracer.
Linksa now has a pretty interesting angle here off towards the side. No one's really paying attention to him currently. And that's it, he needs to find the opener, and he does. IDK's down. However, Hangzhou take the point to start with. Houston still need to respond, and they still need to keep leveraging this Widowmaker presence off to the side of the map and turn that into further eliminations.
Really nice bio grenade there from Raucus. Connects with both tanks. No Smite and Rhea, they're going to be able to pick up a kill on a no Smite. Rhea gets teammates. He's quickly taken out after, but really nice play there from Raucus.
How much does that gut them, Matt, losing IDK so early on there?
I mean, it's huge, right? I mean, you lose the ability to disengage from any fights or engage with the speed boost that Lucio provides. You don't lose a ton of healing, though. You know, the Moira coming in here for Hangzhou provides a ton of healing.
Biotic Orb doing a lot of burst healing. Well, they're not great at following up your dive tanks with, I suppose, unless you want to, you know, be fading forward with that Moira and potentially taking away your own escape mechanic. Oh, Dante spots out Bazzi here as well. Recall already used. Dante happened to trade some shots there, but Jake sat in the corner. Oh, he's been compromised. Bazzi chased him down, but it's a trade. Both Sombras are missing. And now Dante gets the nano boost. Okay, I think I've seen everything now. Pulse bomb dropped in there, eaten straight up by Rio. He'll have that one for dinner. Sustenance is all he's after on that Diva roll. But the Outlaws still maintain control of the point matter, 46%.
And I wonder how either of these teams, I think actually the Outlaws have a better opportunity to use this EMP. There's going to be the EMP that comes out. From the Outlaws, it's huge. It connects with 5.
Yeah, that's nasty. Muma gets 2. One with the Minefielders, baby, just walks into one. No saving Private Ryan here, and now Muma again will be able to displace, boom, and bop everyone off the point. Rio will go for the self-destruct, probably just for a remake. It seems interesting that they want to commit so much to this fight. Hangzhou, they don't control the point.
This is a viable strategy.
Gaining percentage.
Yeah, as you see Muma just swinging around here on the point. As the Wrecking Ball does a ton of damage in this position. You see, oh, as IDK does get taken out there by Linkser as Boink uses the sound barrier to keep everybody up there for Houston.
Oh, this is a stagger. It's a form of a stagger. The sound barrier very timely there from Boink. Keeps Linkser in the fight. Prevents Hangzhou from getting even one pick off. And now at 95%, it is do or die for the Spark. Rhea straight to the point, but immediately demeched. Was Dante taking care of that one? And now he gets nano boosted here. The targets for nano booster. I've been curious thus far, but the Diva seems far more reasonable. The extra durability going a long way as Dante takes the fight to No Smite, but he gets that primal rage. Dante decides he's better off elsewhere, but No Smite wants to be nowhere else other than right up in Raucus's grill. The honor is down. No Smite getting the sound barrier keeps him alive a little bit longer, but his bait health is a little low. In overtime, Hangzhou with the numbers on the point here. IDK falling to Linkser though, and the Widowmaker's still a threat. He's still looking for those targets, and Godspeed drops. Linkser in a great position now to get free damage unopposed. For some reason, Bazzi hasn't opted to make a beeline for him, instead dealing with Boink. Outlaws still have the numbers to keep this one going. No Smite gets taken down, Boomer drops on in. Linkser finds Rhea from the periphery, and the Outlaws finish in style. So much fighting from Hangzhou Spark, but again, the ability to not only take the point, but to maintain control of it for them seemed to be a little bit harder to generate. We've got another round coming right up, ladies and gentlemen. Houston starting this one strong. No shortage of criticism leveled at the Houston Outlaws over the last week or so. A lot of doubts about whether they could play the sufficient number of compositions to be competitive. But Matt, their damage dealer-centric setup seems to be effective.
And I think they just get a lot more value with their EMPs as the Hangzhou Godspeed gets taken out right away there by Linkser. But no, Jake, when he gets that EMP, everybody on Hangzhou kind of has to play together. When Godspeed gets his, the Houston Outlaws composition, you can spread out a lot. A lot of different players and heroes can play on their own with the heroes that they're running, and you can't get a ton of value with the EMP.
Mean, the Moira necessitates playing together. You cannot benefit from that area of effect healing if you're not in the same area of effect. So the Outlaws will move to the point first. It remains to be seen whether Godspeed was invisible or revealed when Linkser picked him up, but he's down. That's a second now for the Crazy Finn. Looking for one more, but Dante's doing the work on the ground here, slapping Bebe around.
They haven't really put any pressure on Linkser at all. Every time we've been on board with Linkser, he's like kind of an afterthought. It seems like they just dive the point, and they're just like letting him just hit these shots at range. Or, I mean, Linkser's just too good of a Widowmaker to just leave unattended.
So who's getting the attention instead of Linkser then? Where are Hangzhou focusing?
It seems like they just keep getting on the point situations, and they're trying to take Muma out. But Muma's doing a fantastic job on Wrecking Ball, just moving around. A lot of times we see Wrecking Ball gets hacked in these situations. We haven't seen Muma really get hacked, to get taken out early.
I mean,
He's done a nice job.
Good example of a team who gets a lot of value out of Wrecking Ball is also the Chengdu Hunters. Very hard to kill. And we know that Muma's been grinding a lot of Wrecking Ball on his stream, if you watch that, which I recommend. It's fantastic. Pulse bomb for Dante. Rhea obviously looking to eat that again, or probably not even going to try to. Dante just needs to be careful. No Smite runs him down. Now the Outlaws are down to 5 players. Muma obviously got himself a bit of shielding on that high ground and is forced to back away. Bazzi wants to drop a pulse bomb in here, potentially does not get the stick. And Boink finds No Smite. Bazzi needs to make the difference now, very quickly. Coalescence forcing the Outlaws back inside this small aperture. Jake trying to dance on the hacked health pack, stays alive for a little while until Bebe finishes him off. Now the Outlaws struggling for players. They've got only about 3 left. Muma is staying rooted onto the point, and Bebe's down. This is the turnaround.
I mean, Hangzhou doesn't even take the point here. Godspeed's still alive, just trying to be a nuisance, getting these hacks off this. That started, and it started well for Hangzhou when they got the hack onto Dante, and you were able to take out the Tracer. They just get nothing after that. They're going to try and get a big EMP on both supports here. You want to have any support ult if you're Houston.
Raucus going to get microwaved here. Exactly who they had to hit. Hangzhou didn't really suffer too much for the EMP laid down by Jake. Didn't hamper their ability too much for Muma. That's a quick double. That's what the Houston Outlaws are looking to do. Stay in control. IDK cut down by Jake. Good peel. Even if Linkser fell, the Outlaws were still able to get something for it. At least a straight trade. Muma just wants to maintain presence right now. He can't really chase Buzzy down. Whereas Jake could be pressured. Transcendence now. Raucus was going to get pulse bombed otherwise. The Outlaws digging into their pockets now to finish this one off here. Godspeed goes down to Jake, and Jake finds yet another one. A lot of work coming out from the DPSs on the Houston Outlaws side. And No Smite couldn't do a darn thing about that. He was hacked and then chopped up. There it is. Houston Outlaws, cool, calm, and collected. A much better performance from them than what we've seen prior. Very quickly chalking up the first map in this series, showing us, Matt, that they have the ability to silence the doubters and play these damage dealer-centric comps. Let's see if they can finish the series. We'll be back right after these messages.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
The Outlaws strike early in this series and kind of leave the Hangzhou Spark a little bit lost for words early on, showing that they can play this kind of damage dealer comp, you know, and sort of harness the chaos or ride the lightning here. But there are more maps to go and more different kinds as well.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking a little bit before this series, you know, when some of the additions for the Outlaws, you know, specifically Dante, were going to pay off. And you saw it there when they were able to run these, you know, damage-dealing heavy compositions where you had all three of your damage dealers, Linkser, Jake, and Dante in the game. They look great there on that control map.
I mean, maybe that's the kind of thing that the Houston Outlaws want to leverage, and there may be no better opportunity to do that than against a team like Hangzhou, which will, you know, probably not throw.
They're willing to scrap with you on
exactly.
Comps, yeah.
You know, and that's what they kind of want. Maybe that's where they get them here. But again, I kind of alluded to it a little bit more. We will see sort of maps throughout this series that don't lend themselves as well, I suppose, to those, you know, DPS-heavy strats. What are your thoughts about King's Row and how it affects our lineups here?
Yeah, so King's Row, I think you can run on the offense, though at the beginning for point A, some more DPS-heavy stuff. You want a really strong Zarya on King's Row. Even when Zarya hasn't really been like meta and played all the time, King's Row is a map where you see a ton of Reinhardt, ton of Zarya, you know, through the chokes from, you know, point A through to point B through the streets phase. I think that's where you're going to see the Outlaws probably make some changes, as we do see Spree comes into the game for Linkser. So Jake stays in. Potentially, you know, you can have Jake run like a damage-dealing hero. You can have Jake play Brigitte.
Normally this is not, yeah, normally this is Jake and Linkser being sort of subbed out for each other, right?
Yeah, this is a little bit of a change of game plan here for the Outlaws. And I think they needed something to change things up a little bit after week 1.
So that means that obviously the Brigitte player will be different. Gushui comes in for No Smite. Again, you're kind of
having the luxury of it.
It's an embarrassment of riches. Yeah. Gushui obviously earned great acclaim representing China at the Overwatch World Cup. He's an aggressive player. His primal rage mechanics are filthy.
Insane.
Like if we get a chance, it's a little bit hard to watch a Winston in first person using primal rage. If we get to see that, we'll try and show you, because Gushui is a very good juggler. You know what I mean? It's like Cirque du Soleil out there. People don't even touch the ground. He's all about it.
His Reinhardt is really strong as well. So I think you know, it's just kind of like you mentioned, an embarrassment of riches here for the Spark. You have two main tanks on this roster who would start on most of the teams in the league. They wouldn't be splitting time with another person. It is different though. A lot of teams usually don't rotate main tanks out. It's usually a role that kind of stays because they're so important in terms of calling. But it seems like you want to try and find run for both of these players.
But it is something worth looking at, especially because now obviously Guxue, does not speak Korean, as far as we understand. For all we know, the rest of the Hangzhou Spark don't speak Chinese. So, there needs to be pretty tight communication and structures put in place even before you get onto the battlefield to make sure that those language barriers can be overcome or at least circumvented to a degree. That's what Hangzhou are probably thinking about here, but Guxue is always a treat to watch. I love it whenever he hits the battlefield. So. The Houston Outlaws, they will be on the attack, Matt. Do you see them going for this aggro, this damage dealer setup again?
I mean, no, Jake on the Widowmaker, it's something wouldn't that be a crazy scenario where you somehow links her to have Jake play Widowmaker? We've seen crazy stuff, man, but...
it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jake playing the Brigitte here. He was playing a lot of Brig, obviously, last season for the Outlaws.
Yeah, when Spree comes in and Linkser comes out, that kind of tells you they're fully committed to obviously having a full-time Zarya on this map, which is no surprise. I think this is what you're going to expect them, though. Like, their Sombra version of the triple tank, triple support, very strong. I think you leave Jake in here, he can provide a little bit more shot calling old man.
Spree getting chunked. Ooh. Sorry to cut you off there. Looked like Houston might have been losing Spree in that case. And again, they are playing two tanks and the Sombra. A lot of emphasis being put on Dante, who was very well known for his Sombra prowess last season. Look at this. Rhea gets deneked. It's enough to force Hangzhou off the point. They don't look comfortable here at all.
No, and they were forced into a really bad position when they lose Bazzi early. Then Guxue gets hacked, so you don't have a Reinhardt shield. They're forced to back up into like that corner by the hotel. They're able to just put down a ton of spam damage on all of the targets in there. That'll be a first point take here for the Outlaws.
Spree with a huge portion of his team's damage in that first fight. Which one do you expect from Sombra? From Zarya in general? Spree's obviously one of those players we always look forward to seeing.
Spree's an off-tank player, but he's really a Zarya specialist. And it's like, if you can't play a Zarya specialist right now, it's like, well, when would they get play, right? Like, that's why I think in one of their last games, I was surprised to see so much Coolmat. Not that Coolmat's not a fantastic player, it's just you have Spree on this roster who's so sick at it, such an important hero. And then it doesn't really kind of put you out of position because Dante can just run the Sombra, and this is what you can roll out with. Speaking
of which, Matt, that EMP is impending. Spree taking a back seat here, and now here comes the push, but Dante goes down to a whip shot early from Bazzi. Earth Shatter used there by Guxue, and that will be as simple as that. The pink parade will pour forth in towards the Outlaws spawn.
And they were probably going to go for some kind of EMP into a Graviton Surge there, but, the whip shot ends up taking Dante out. You have to hold on to some of those ults. And, we didn't get a great view, but you imagine, Guxue lands that Shatter, Muma's trying to run in. You lose a few players, even if it's just like a few seconds delay.
So you're definitely looking for that in this fight. Dante getting an EMP before Bebe can use his Transcendence. But Dante just opts for the hack on IDK, who wants to get aggressive here. Here comes the push, Matt, though. You hear that? That's Graviton Surge coming out from Hangzhou. Godspeed locks him up, and that's another fight done.
And Dante's trying to get that hack on IDK because he's playing in the alleyway, just trying to avoid the EMP. So if he can get the hack on him first, Dante doesn't have to worry about him being in line of sight when the EMP goes off. You'll still deny the sound barrier, at least at the beginning. But that should give you enough time to grab, swing a few times with the Reinhardt shield and pick up enough kills.
Even without Dante actually chasing the Lucio kill and finishing it for himself. That's the EMP though. Guxue definitely got hit by that one. 4 players from Hangzhou, but not Bebe. He gets to use the Transcendence in this fight. Now Hangzhou can snap back. Still fairly healthy, but they did lose Bazzi. And it might be Struggle Town now with Bebe falling to a headshot from Raucous. Guxue charges in as only Guxue can. But it's not enough to get Hangzhou out of the hole. And now the Outlaws can get started on this second phase of the map.
I think the Outlaws there, you usually don't see like a Sombra come up to the cart, not in stealth, and just throw the translocator in and then EMP. Probably just a little bit of like frustration trying to go on these flanks, set up something perfectly coordinated. That was as good as you can get. I know he doesn't connect with the IDK originally with the EMP, but he gets the hack on him during, the Transcendence set is up. This has to be a big shatter here from Guxue to combo with the self-destruct.
Oh, they split Muma off. This could be nasty for the Outlaws, and they lose Boink as a response. Muma's still able to swing in and do a buzzing here, and that's going to necessitate the sound barrier. Earth Shatter laid down. Help of Godspeed, that will do the job. Hangzhou maybe investing slightly more than they otherwise would have intended to, but the result is still the same when they have a Graviton into the next fight.
That was a really nice use of the Graviton Surge. We haven't seen a lot of teams do that, where they throw the grab like past the cart, and then the Reinhardt comes up, and I mean, Muma really doesn't have a great way to save anybody, because they're so far away from each other that the shield doesn't do anything. He puts the shield up, he's just getting swung on by Goushway. There's really nothing he can do there. Nice use of the self-destruct there. It'll be Godspeed here with the Graviton Surge. They take Dante out. That's going to be a pin from Goushway onto Jake, so the Spark will get another team wipe in their favor.
That hurts the Outlaws quite badly, though. Raucus surely was hoping to keep Dante alive specifically, so that an EMP would be forthcoming after the Graviton. It wasn't there, and ultimately that Transcendence from Raucus gives no value. It's still a lost fight for the Outlaws, and they have been slowed down, brought to a screeching halt now.
And, you know, Spree has done a nice job keeping his energy up here, but the 3 deaths really hurt you. Like, Zarya's need to back out. Like, if you can save any energy, it's massive. Godspeed, although they lose some fights here at the Spark, he doesn't lose any like energy because he keeps backing up. Has not died so far. His average energy is sitting at 65%. The only time he's probably low is when they had to back out. Is this is a big EMP from Dante.
Perfect from Baby, though. Still get the Transcendence off. Dante probably not getting the impact he would have liked, but it's still a 1-for-1 trade player-wise. Muma stunned up there. Great timing on the Graviton Surge. It wasn't it. You saw Rhea was looking for it. Got to be cut down. Dante with 2, and now it's just Rhea. You see right in the back is IDK, but he's in no shape to participate currently. Rhea, just as well that he's healthy, but again, stalling is all he'll really be able to get done until the rest of the Hangzhou Spark return to this fight.
They may get another look at this. IDK could boop somebody back. He's going to get a touch here. So now that'll allow Goushway to get onto the card. If you can get Godspeed back, you're going to have all 3 of your tank ultimates here to combo.
Drake has just returned to the fight as well for the Outlaws. He and Boink. And that's the rally. Houston definitely want to get something started up right now. See, Rhea's low. He can't get burst healed currently. Clearly the repair pack not being given to him, or it's on cooldown. Transcendence EMP being thrown in. Sound barrier for both. The self-destruct doesn't affect Outlaws in the way the Spark would have liked it to, and that is going to be a big shatter. Getting Buzzy is probably enough here if Houston can push forward, and they do. Bebe is down. The Zenyatta is missing. Muma looking for a charge. Found Rhea, stunned out of it immediately. Earthshatter coming out, and despite Muma being stunned, Hangzhou weren't able to get value for it. Now we're into overtime in just a few seconds. Rhea low in the back line. Dante wants to try and chase Rhea down, but he got a quick repair pack. It may not be enough, though. He's the Graviton, and it will be the Outlaws converging on this team fight. And again to the Foundry.
It's not easy, but they finally do it. They're able to use that Graviton Surge at the end there from Spree to push them over the line. 1 minute and 20 seconds here, though, Mitch, not a ton of time. You have to use EMP in the next fight, maybe EMP Shatter. You'd like to hold on a rally, but you have the Transcendence on the other side. You're probably going to get a Sound Barrier. Bazzi switches over to Ana here towards the end. So just you're trying to get some of those antis.
He's thinking about that Transcendence coming from Raucus soon, I'm sure. Hangzhou respecting it greatly. Here comes that Earthshatter EMP to follow up here. Rhea, Baby, IDK all hacked up. And Outlaws get the result that they were looking for. A little bit further still the push, and Bebe has a Transcendence, but he needs to use it for more than just stalling. But he may not have a chance. Rhea lays it down desperately. Hangzhou try and falls short of the payload. Houston will finish the map.
That Spree really came on towards the end there. They finished that 8 Graviton Surge kills. He's made a big difference here in map number 2 for the Outlaws as they complete the map. We'll see you for Hangzhou's attack after the break.
.40 seconds in the time bank for the Houston Outlaws after finishing King's Row on the attacking side. Definitely not something to scowl at, perhaps, but it's not a huge buffer, especially with a team like Hangzhou, Matt, which we know brings blistering pace to their pushes.
I think that what I've liked from the Outlaws here today, Mitch, at least thus far, really early in this series, is like they played what they're good at. Like they have a strong Sombra player, a strong Zarya player. Put them in the game and try and win it that way. Like, you know, if you can come up, like, sometimes I think teams get too wrapped up and they're trying to play to the meta. And you know, Sombra, triple tank, triple support, well, obviously you take out one of the tanks and Sombra takes the spot. It's still extremely meta, right? And I think you can still win with it. And I think Houston has the players to, you know, make a difference with it. As let's see if this is what the Spark roll out with. You know, Godspeed on Pharah. Usually you want the Mercy to combo with Pharah. Maybe just scouting here, trying to put some damage down. As yep, everybody back to the spawn. So traditional 3 tanks, 3 supports. From the Spark, you have the Moira in play here for Raucus.
Again, let's see if he gets value from it. Rhea will be more than happy to eat up those bionic orbs that would otherwise provide a heck of a lot of healing. Bazzi just gets out with his life there, but Rhea's got a great spot just to range shrapnel down on top of the Outlaws. Muma's taken down, overwhelmed and overrun. And now the rest of the Hangzhou Spark transition fairly comfortably to the point here. Constant pressure being placed on Spree, making it harder for Spree to stop that damage hitting his backline. Raucus fades onto the point, but it's fade to black for him. And Spree being removed means Hangzhou have that point. This is not a shock to see from this team.
And I think why you see the Moira here, and it was the Outlaws playing really aggressive. That's probably why you want the Moira, just for her healing output at the beginning. If you're going to play that aggressive and you're going to play around the statue, try and push the chokes, you don't want a Zenyatta in that position, extremely vulnerable, doesn't provide enough healing. You need a main support in that type of situation. And that's probably why they go with Moira there at the beginning. But as soon as that fight is lost, Raucus doesn't even want to use the Coalescence. He actually had it, you know, 95%. He would have got it walking back. They'll have to switch to Zen right away.
Hangzhou can do a lot with these ultimates available to them right now. Grab coming up. Rhea can make, you know, Muma turn his shield around with a good self-destruct, and Bushway can take advantage of that. Godspeed, look at them just push forward like a phalanx, straight up the guts. And Jake has his spill all over the cobblestones in King's Road. That's just nasty, man. I don't know what to say about that one.
And those are the worst fight losses for the Outlaws, because if you're going to lose a fight, you'd like to see them, you know, use a lot of their ultimates. It's just a grab and the speed boost from IDK. You just get right up in their grill. You get Gushue swinging up on a bunch of people. There's nothing they can do. And they're coming back in this next fight. You're just going to have rally if you're the Outlaws. It's like, do you even invest grab?
Oh, man, okay. At least Muma manages to get a shield around to protect them from that self-destruct. Transcendence being thrown in, Spree sends his mech up. He might have liked it to stay, actually, under that walkway. It didn't, though. Big Earth Shadow into the back, though. Raucus, Dante on lockdown, and Muma's missing. Jake's gone as well. Hangzhou again break through. The Outlaws offering only a token resistance. Again, the start of the fight, they look good, but then they just look flimsier as the cracks start to show. Hangzhou, 5 minutes, 25 seconds on the clock. I said blisteringly fast, and I wasn't lying.
I mean, you're going to have a grab for this next fight, nothing to combo with it. But, you know, maybe if you use grab and then they use Transcendence, then Shatter, you're in a pretty good spot if you're the Spark, right? Because then you figure you're going to come back, you know, with, you know, a 2-ult advantage for what could be the final fight in a sick amount of time left.
Just not looking nearly as perky as they did in the previous map. Maybe this is just not where they prefer to be composition-wise, but it's where they must play. On the corner is Muma. He spots Rhea in the distance, trying to abscond with just a slither of health. And a repair pack given to him by Bazzi will keep him in the fight.
I mean, it's the only reason they have to back out there, is you cannot lose your D.Va, especially that close to self-destruct, especially this part of the map. There's not a lot of spots to hide there towards the end here for the Outlaws once they get into the open.
You can see now, Hangzhou getting a bit antsy. They want to fight. Graviton surges for Muma. That's the self-destruct. They get the Transcendence. No result from the self-destruct here. Both teams going for that extra healing from the Zenyatas. Another big shadow! Beautiful from Gushue! Oh, Hangzhou, one after another. Bowling over the Outlaws now. That self-destruct again, just really providing a break in the fight for the Outlaws. A chance to catch a breath. A brief reprieve before they're sent packing once more. Boink. Gets skadoosh straight off the payload. Oh dear, the Outlaws in disarray now. They need to have a response. Raucus just trying to get some of that health back as he sits off in the corner. Hangzhou will regroup for the time being.
They may be playing around Godspeed, trying to build up a grab here. You know, you're kind of trusting you can build up the Trans a bit faster than the Outlaws. Dante now gets a grab. You're going to use it right away. This will be the sound barrier that comes out for the Spark.
Oh, you heard that Ryan shield break. That was crucial. Godspeed just burst down, and a Transcendence arguably a little late from Bebe. That means Hangzhou going to have to go again, Matt.
That's huge for the Outlaws, though. No, they use the sound barrier in the Transcendence, and they don't keep up Godspeed, which is kind of their ultimate that they're playing for. now you have all 3 support ultimates here, and you have Shatter. We see a lot of, like, when the grabs come through, counter Shatters, you know, to prevent the Reinhardt coming in and swinging, doing a lot of damage.
Just to give yourself some space, if anything else. Shatter in that case is not designed to win the fight.
It's a huge fight win there for the Outlaws. It really kind of turns the tide in terms of ultimate economy.
Baby very low in the back there. You can see Raucus just trying to chunk him down. Scon him with an orbital too. 5 ults. Houston Outlaws. Dante looks very comfortable on his perch there.
They're going to get all 6 here.
Hangzhou aren't pressuring. They need to start pressuring these ultimates out, so that's why we hear the rally. Uma tries to get around the side. Shatter, nothing doing. Forced to back up again as Hangzhou making a bit of extra progress, but now still they're going to have to hit their nose to the grindstones. The Transcendence is brought in again by Raucus. Self-destruct knocked towards the side. Uma, oh, he stays alive. Almost falls down the hole. But he's going to hang around for the rest of the fight. You can see Ria's just been caught enough to the right side. Hangzhou trying to rescue here, but might just be feeding themselves to the meat grinder. Gooshway charges in though, takes down Jake. Ria's been missing, but movement chance as well. Gooshway's getting the work done. And Dante Raucus are sitting off to the side. Again, have to trickle in one by one. They quickly realize they're way behind in this fight. Baby D-Suited or D-Suited Raucus not able to get the job done. And Hangzhou get that round finished. They looked like they were going to be much quicker, Matt. But the Outlaws find a bit of that fighting spirit and slow them up. This is going to make this next playthrough on Kings Row much more interesting. See you in a moment. Pedal to the metal for these two is a very crucial map is hanging in the balance here. Hangzhou definitely want to even up this series. And if the Outlaws get up to a 2-map lead, it could be signs of them turning their fortunes around. It's not been a great season for them so far.
There are probably a lot of main tank players. You know, there's a lot of matches you get excited for. Playing the Sparks, probably not one. When you have Gooshway and Nose Smite on the other side, it's like, oh man, you have to deal with both of them. A little bit of a different play style.
You're just going to get pressured. They're going to bear down upon you constantly, and you won't have any room to breathe. That's what Hangzhou are very good at, suffocating enemy tank lines.
Well, let's see if the Spark adjusts here on defense, playing against this Sombra comp. Is that Dante working around the outside here, trying to find an angle?
Oh, you see? Godspeed's checking. That's like the searchlight. Now he's trying to get out of... Dante's trying to get out of prison here.
A lot of divas will just fire randomly and just try and spot check, right? Diva can just fire unlimited amounts of times. Just great to spot check against these Sombras.
Ria down to half. No burst healing forthcoming, so Hangzhou just need to hope that Houston give him the time to regen.
You can't use the burst heal because, let's say for argument's sake, Dante gets a hack onto Gooshway. You need that burst heal to keep the Reinhardt alive.
Yeah, definitely not top of the priority list. It was Ria there. Gooshway gets bubbled. He's still low, trying to push forward. The Outlaws, bit of push-pull here, just trying to manipulate the Spark around the point, and they've got that one. Gooshway slowly chunked down by the Outlaws, and now they move on to that point. Overtime has begun. On the high ground, Ria just got de-suited, and that's bad news for the Spark here. Very unlikely they can really come back, and in fact, Matt, they're not even going to attempt to. Hangzhou are going to take a back seat for now and allow Houston to get this payload out of the garage.
And the Outlaws have another fight win here, Mitch, if they play this right. You have the EMP. Because the Spark are probably going to want to push up. They obviously have a decent amount of time, 2 minutes and 19 seconds, but you still don't want Houston to get a ton of free payload progress.
I mean, Hangzhou have to know what they're walking into here. I guess all they can hope for is, once again, and Bebe's done an excellent job of doing this, is that they can keep their Zenyatta out of that EMP. That's right. Got to sit right back, and that's exactly what he's doing right now, baby. He's right at the back. So Dante won't affect him with this one. Gets an EMP. Can the Outlaws get a kill before the trans comes in? You better believe it. Gooshway is down. Big Earth Shatter as well. Makes it very hard for Hangzhou to reply back after that EMP was even used, abilities or no. Bebe down, having done his job in that fight, it wasn't enough.
Well, he does a good job of hiding Bebe and getting the Transcendence off.
Was he too far away?
Maybe a little bit. But if you play towards the front by those cafes, Dante's going to find you. A lot like how he hacked you know, IDK, so you couldn't use the sound barrier. Dante is too good of a Sombra to not make that play. He actually goes over to D.Va here. This is interesting. Just gives you the opportunity to potentially eat like the Graviton Surge that comes in from Godspeed, which
it's
would
a
be
huge
massive.
momentum killer, right? And it'll definitely break the spirits. There's some psychological value for bringing D.Va in here. Spree would like a Graviton Surge of his own, though, and the Outlaws have done very well accruing some of these ultimates. Briefly stunned, that's the grab. Spree is very charged up now, and here's the Transcendence for the Outlaws. The Spark don't have one quite yet, but Rhea still breaks the back. Gets two with that self-destruct. Gushua trying to step back, but Rhea really putting his mech on the line for this one. Raucus able to take that one down. Boink, boop, and IDK gets in there with a left hook, and that'll be it. Hangzhou, hold on. We talk about momentum breakers. Rhea did just that himself.
So really good progress, though, from the Outlaws, considering how much time they had in the time bank. And you see Dante making a difference on Sombra. It goes over to D.Va there towards the end. To have some of these flex players on your lineup. I think, you know, we didn't really talk a ton about it, but you know, them leaving Jake in. You know, Jake obviously very vocal. I think he provides a ton of, whether it's not calling, just like, you know, a ton of those like minor calls. This is where, yeah, this is where we're talking about. Maybe he's a little far here, so it's a long run.
Then obviously you are sped up considerably in that form, but this is the trade-off you have to take in order to stay safe.
But with so much burst damage, though, like with like Reinhardt, Zarya, like a fully charged Zarya, it's like every like inch matters with that like ultimate, like with the Transcendence to be getting that close. So looks like we do have a pause here. So
yeah, I think it's hard to know what the right answer is in cases like that. Like you either get EMP'd or you don't. And the problem is the Transcendence has the same value anyway. You either don't get the Transcendence in that fight. I'd almost rather get EMP because at least you have the Transcendence for the next fight.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, maybe like, obviously Zenyatta really slow. Like there's not an opportunity to make it towards like the high ground, right? Because then you could have jumped out of the window, but then that's also like, you probably wouldn't have made it there in time. And then I think you have to kind of play, if you play up close, you know, in some of those stores and the shops, Dante's going to find you. So there's nowhere else he can really play except being that far back. But then being that far back doesn't help you. So
this is obviously Rhea in those final moments. They really needed a pressure relief valve, and this was definitely it. Just after Bazzi goes down as well. Sound barrier, notice, didn't quite reach Bazzi. Let me drop this one straight on in. Very high up. Uma swinging. It comes in just under the shield.
Ooh. He you can see at the end, he realizes like where it's gonna come. He tries to readjust the shield.
But there's a gap between the shield and the ground, right? You still get hit by that self-destruct. So, you know, the problem for Mover was that he was suspended above the ground. So if he held the shield in a neutral position, well, it still wouldn't be enough.
And we're back.
Tough to call. Yeah, we are back. How about that?
Like that.
And on the defense here will be the Outlaws. So they do play that Reinhardt-centric comp. Hangzhou, what do we get? We got something spicy, something a bit tutti-fruity, Matt? Maybe some damage dealers? No.
No.
No IDK on Hangzhou?
No. I think the only thing you potentially could see is if they wanted to run like a Sombra comp, a lot like we saw the Outlaws. I think the Sombra comp is pretty strong in these types of situations because a hack is so big, even if it's not like a huge EMP, just a regular hack. Taking away some abilities from some of these heroes would be massive.
It just gives you an opening. You know, we spend so much time watching these teams of 6 players just look at each other and go, where do we start fighting? And then EMP can be the push and in.
Or a hack. Like as soon as your Reinhardt gets hacked, you just have to back up. I mean, there's just too much coming in.
Look at Raucus, right in the back corner there. Really doesn't want to make a slip up here. But Hangzhou might not give him a choice. Look at they push into that corner. You know they want to get a piece of that Zenyatta, but they kind of break like waves upon a rock cliff. Bazzi Jake getting himself 2 there. And Hangzhou, it's not exactly subtle. You can see what they want.
And I think when they try and go aggressive there, they use a speed boost, and they actually bubble Gushue on the engage. Like, they bubble him right away. And right after the bubble's gone, Boink connects with a boop and just boops him out. And then that's why you see him kind of die like last out of the tanks, because the other tanks go into the corner, and they don't have that Reinhardt with them.
Transcendence imminent for both sides. Raucus will have his one right now. He had a very good fight, just staying alive and getting a lot of work done here. IDK, what does he look for? He doesn't go up to the high ground. I thought he might be trying to, you know, do some cheeky dueling. Patience from the Outlaws here, but Dante and Spree are low. Hangzhou might realize this now. So the Outlaws go straight for this rally to keep them in this fight. Transcendence straight away. Raucus holding on to his. He's not using Transcendence right now, and it's paying off for the Outlaws. They didn't take enough damage to really warrant it. The rally was enough to cover over that deficiency. And here's the EMP. Raucus still holding on to the Transcendence if he needs it later on. Earthshatter. That is a big, big Earthshatter. 3 people knocked down. Raucus as well, but the sound barrier was there. The Outlaws have everything they need, and even what they don't need. They just hold solid, and Hangzhou have one more chance to take point A.
Oh, and they use the sound barrier there towards the end to try and keep Guxue alive, but they're not able to do it. Godspeed will have the Graviton Surge coming back in the next fight. You'll have a self-destruct as well. Who's going to be able to get a touch here, though? It probably has to be Rhea.
Over the top, perhaps, around the fence. We'll see them push. So Jake trying to get a quick shield bash there, and 1 second left. Godspeed gets there first. Transcendence is going to catch Dante, but immediately Raucus uses that save. Transcendence. Oh. It's not enough, though! Once again, Rhea breaks in, knocks down the door, and said, I'll have all your valuables at point A. Another 2K, and that is all you need. Hangzhou by themselves, a stay of execution, and a chance to take the map.
So you probably will have Dante getting a grab in the next fight. You'll have Rally here, so things do look good for the Outlaws. They just need to win this Reinhardt battle. They cannot let Guxue hit like some massive shatter and swing the tides in the Spark's favor.
Yeah. Every bit of your mental bandwidth right now needs to be committed to avoiding a blowout.
I like this from the Outlaws. Play aggressive here. Play up in the choke. You know you have the advantage in terms of ultimates. Don't let the Spark gain some ground and, you know, extend this fight. You want to just dump your ults in and win it pretty clean.
All right, movement doesn't need to be told twice to flex and get aggressive. Step back. Graviton Surge, they're really not catching anyone. Hangzhou, very quick disengage there. Another big shatter. Oh, that hurts. Oh. But that hurts even more. Whoever said the first cut is the deepest was wrong. Houston Outlaws at 2 maps to 0 in this series. Diva Bomb's definitely deciding a lot of these fights. And Spree, very pleased. The Belgian superstar absolutely deserves accolades for his performance on that particular map. All smiles on the Outlaws here as halftime approaches, and they've got plenty of time to think about their next step. Raucus, great job for him staying alive in those last couple of fights. The triple bomb to finish it. They'll be talking about that one for a while. We'll see you guys on the other side of this break. What a match.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered.
Welcome back, everybody, to our halftime show. The Houston Outlaws are up 2-0 on the Hangzhou Spark so far in this game. And I gotta say, really unorthodox rotation happening here with the Houston Outlaws. What do you guys think about what we just saw?
Yeah, it was a bit of a game of musical chairs. There was like, you take Zarya and I take Diva. You know what? You go Sombra, and then just switched it all back up. So Jake on Sombra again, and then Dante and Spree just kind of switched back and forth between that Diva and Zarya to the point where they couldn't really switch back at one point on King's Row. So that, to me, felt like, oh, maybe they have a flexibility problem. But then they switched it back around again, so it was fine. But it was confusing to watch.
I tell you what, though, I'm pleasantly surprised of Houston, honestly, like, because I had minimal expectations coming into this match when they were playing against Hangzhou. They've turned up. I'm not going to lie, they've turned up.
They turned up for sure. Now, you know, to start off the match, we saw Mumo on Wrecking Ball, and he was wrecking. Literally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Big time. I mean, looking at these stats right here, the guy had 0 deaths to his name. Like, you see this so rarely. He had a perfect game on Busan. Absolutely absurd. They played the DPS composition that they were playing so well. And Hangzhou, they tried to counter it in a way. They were running Sombra, Tracer with a Winston Divas, like a classic dive composition. They were trying to counter it, but it seemed like they had no clue of actually how to counter it. They had in their minds, in theory, they had the right tools, but they were just like, didn't know how to play it. So I would have preferred to them to stick to a more, you know, standard composition, you know, like the triple tank, triple support.
Indeed. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the highlights, starting off with Busan. And right out the gate, we saw a lot of unorthodox picks. The Houston Outlaws. You know, we had Jake playing Sombra.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of just weird picks for these guys.
And you know what? We saw Jake on Sombra before, and he wasn't doing too well. He was actually the bottom of the league when it came to like hero damage and all sorts of stats. But he really stepped it up in this game, landed some great EMPs.
Yeah, it's nice to see Houston coming out of flexibility, you know, for once. And I'm mates with Jake, you know. We hang out every now and then. Like, I'm pleased to see now he's expanding his hero pool. I know the guy's a grafter. Like, he likes to put in time into one hero and get good at it, right? So it's good to see that, you know, Sombra, I think he's going to argue with me later. It's always been a part of his hero pool, but, you know, that's arguable.
You know, fun fact, during World Cup, he talked a lot about the Sombra Doomfist.
He talks a lot in general, yeah.
Indeed. But maybe he got some practice on Sombra during that Sombra Doomfist period of time.
I think so. But, and as well, this map into King's Row, honestly, fantastic game coming out from Houston again. They were really, honestly, playing very well, rotating a lot of their ultimates. I have to say as well, was expecting more out of Hangzhou. I don't think they're playing particularly their best Overwatch.
No, their ult timing was a bit questionable at times.
Exactly. I think we've seen better Overwatch. For example, when they played against Valiant earlier in the last week, or earlier in the week, I should say, or earlier last week. But I mean, the results are in front of us, man. I mean, Houston are up 2-0 right now at the half. Can they keep it going, though? They've been in this position before. This is my question now, because they were like this. This team struggles to close out series.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah. What are they going to do this time differently, you know, than before? Because
just don't choke.
Don't choke.
Simple as that. Just don't.
How do you not choke?
I don't know, man.
Just don't do it.
Just don't choke forehead, lol.
No, but we saw. I mean, Spark kind of dropped the ball at the end there, but they had a lot of moments where they looked really strong also in this series. So it wasn't a super one-sided affair, and I just hope that the Houston Outlaws just stay focused and don't loosen up.
Don't choke.
Don't choke. Yeah,
simple advice. Listen to me, Houston.
Well, this is truly going to be a test for Hangzhou Spark, because I don't think they've been down 0-2 yet, and we get to see how they're going to adjust at halftime. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for the analysis. Guys, we're getting back into the action very soon, so stay tuned. They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
The Houston Outlaws, ladies and gentlemen, started this series in absolute style. 2-0 is the map score. And honestly, that previous map, Kings Row, was hard fought, and they still prevailed. Looking good on not just a DPS dealer sort of setup, but also with those tanks and supports.
Yeah, it's quite a nice surprise, I think, for Outlaw fans. I think they were looking at this match after how they played previously, and they were probably worried to death coming in. And I know they make some lineup changes. So right now, I'm looking down at the stage behind me, and you still see Jake on the stage, right? You know, Spree's still in the game. So it's interesting. You know, we saw Linkser in map number 1 when they ran the really, you know, DPS heavy damage dealing competition.
Seems like he still thrived there.
Yeah, and now Linkser's the one that comes out. It's a little bit of a different lineup here from the Outlaws. They seem to have found something that's working.
Perhaps it could just be the presence Jake has there. Could also be, you know,
vibes.
Role
it's all about the vibes.
Here's the substitutions. Revenge comes in. We haven't seen a ton of him so far. I think it was subbed in the prior map briefly. I think map 3 actually might be where we normally see him, obviously in that assault setup. But Bebe comes out. Obviously gave a great account of himself, Bebe, dealing with a constant Sombra pressure. But Hangzhou have more than one look. No Smite back in for Gushue again. One superstar main tank for another. Can't complain about that.
Flip a coin. Whichever side it lands on, they go in the game. I mean, you know, both of these guys, fantastic, like we have mentioned throughout the series.
But Matt, they need a map. Hangzhou's but need a map. The Outlaws are, well, they're looking like they could run away with this one.
I don't know why I'm an analyst when you can tell people that the other team needs to win a map.
See that one's green, and that one's green as well. Man, and it's got the Outlaw sign next to it. So that's bad for Hangzhou.
That's tough. I don't know how you figure that one out.
So you would, okay, so what do you want to see on this map then?
I'm kidding. I think like on Anubis, I think it's interesting that you leave Spree in the game, because this is a map where you don't really, I mean, Zarya's good here on Anubis, but really it's like defense like 0.2. I think that's when you can make a difference. So it's interesting what the Outlaws have here on offense to kick things off. So you have Jake in the game playing Pharah, hero that very strong out. We've seen him put up some good performances in the past. Dante playing Tracer, then you have Spree playing Sombra. Spree does play some DPS. If you remember last year, you know, there was a fantastic Lijiang Tower game where he came out on Pharah, really made a big impact. So he does play some DPS. Now some of the damage dealing heroes go away. Oh, they're just gonna go. Okay, so they see what happens here is they come out. They see that there's the Winston on the opposing side here for the Spark. That's when they move right away from damage dealing centric comp. They go over to the Reinhardt triple tank, triple support.
Again, which is a protracted or like a longer engagement, the Reinhardt's going to win out. There's burst damage potential there. There's just good like sustained damage, and of course the Earthshatter ultimate, which is, you know, a fight winner to be sure. So now, like, No Spy has to respect this. He sits back and says, well, look, I can't really get engaged or jump in until I can sort of safely get in and out. See Raucus there just pressuring him and Godsby in that corner, and the Outlaws will get the high ground.
And the Outlaws, you know, they have to go to the high ground because they want to get Revenge and IDK off, and they just use the speed boost. They're just going to keep trying to reposition this Zen. They want to keep Revenge alive. He gets low.
Yeah, he actually survives that one. It's likely he got the health pack in that side room. The mega health gets 200 back pretty much straight away. But in the flurry of chaos, Rhea's mech has been lost, so they're definitely missing a lot of that utility on the side of their Diva. A lot of that dive partner to go with No Spine. Look at Hangzhou's health. No Spine definitely not looking great.
And look at where the Outlaws have forced these healers here for the Spark, as they're all in by that mega health pack, and you can't get any line of sight of your Zenyatta, you know, your Lucio's not providing a lot. You got a Transcendence to come out, keep everybody topped up.
The fact that they managed to stay alive until that Transcendence is notable. That's a big deal. No Spine protecting his backline as Winston, which is hard enough in and of itself. But they've done it. So they bought themselves that time. The Outlaws had to step back, but Houston have 2 support ultimates here. They had the Transcendence, they had the sound barrier, but they look like they're a little bit unsure about where to start.
Where are the supports for the Spark going? They're at the Outlaw spawn at this point, as now it's forcing the Spark to use like a self-destruct Graviton Surge, just trying to be like, look at this, the supports are trying to get back through the choke. They use the grab to stop them at the door. What is happening?
And yeah, interestingly enough, Boink almost gave his life up to that self-destruct. Had he not had the sound barrier, he would have been dead, and that would have been at best a Lucio trade. This is completely wacky stuff we're seeing right now.
Wild.
Spree getting challenged on the high ground, given a bubble. Muma dropping in. And again, Hangzhou, they're really stretched thin here, man. Couple of strikers coming in now, but Rhea's removed from the fight. No Spine is low, and in the absence of a Reinhardt shield, Muma gets an easy shatter. And the Outlaws take point A.
And it's a lot of late kills here, and they do have Godsby in a really tough spot. Goes down to 149 HP. Oh, he's going to get caught. They have to go. This is a great opportunity here for the Outlaws, Mitch.
That's the opening. They found it. Now to move on to the point. They still need to dot the I and cross the T. Here comes that self-destruct thrown in. That is going to split No Smite off for the rest of his team. That's him going down now. Raucus finishes the job. Hangzhou not only missing their Zarya early, but lose their Reinhardt not far into the fight. Off to the side was Godspeed trying to make his way in. He had himself the Graviton Surge. Bazzi is run down, now the Transcendence being used, and the Outlaws still looking hale and healthy and hardy as they continue their fight. It's 4 minutes and 30 seconds left, but they back up. The Transcendence is enough to make them respected. But as soon as they step back, they're back into the fray. No Smite dropping once more, and Hangzhou now need to be very careful how they stagger this one out. Houston have 91% of the capture progress here, and now they're hunting down those targets as they split off.
And the Spark are just trying to cycle onto the point here, just trying to keep it going for as long as possible. You have IDK just jumping up on the walls as Lucio. Bazzi now falls there as No Smite trying to make it back. He does not make it in time.
Real quick stuff there from the Houston Outlaws. Great at identifying holes in Hangzhou's setup. That's what they need to do. Punish for those particular mistakes. They have to be feeling pretty good. They're buoyed on by that momentum going to the second half, but they need to show up on defense as well as they did on offense. And we'll see how this one concludes after the break. .404. Hangzhou defense not found. That's the time the Houston Outlaws actually have on from the attacking side here, Matt. And I mean, how do you describe to someone who didn't see that first half how it went?
So what happened there for the Spark is, you know, they're sitting up on the high ground. You know, when you move through the choke on Anubis, just imagine you're playing on offense, right? You move through the choke, and the supports for the Spark are up on the top right. The Outlaws recognize that. They decide to push up the spares with the speed boost and push them down from the top right. The Spark, they use their speed boost and they move down onto the bridge and back by their mega health pack. And the Outlaws, they end up pushing through there. And the Spark, they have nowhere else to go with this speed boost. And they try and go all the way around to the Outlaws spawn and they get caught out.
Well, Matt, they've seen the Reinhardt here from the Outlaws. Hangzhou want to play some DPS. Revenge on the Soldier 76, which is just not a pick we see much at all. Talk to me about this.
It's kind of like your rock, paper, scissors, so to speak. And you know, Soldier 76 here, if you're like a flex support, I mean, if you're really anybody who plays Overwatch, he's just kind of like a staple. Like, everybody knows how to play a solid Soldier 76. He's never really fantastic in a comp. He's never really, like, bad in a composition. So I think you bring in the Soldier 76, good mobility here, can put down constant damage.
Point! No, too far!
Yeah, I think, though, the Outlaws, they know they're in a really tough spot here against all these DPS. It's like, well, look at Muma. Like, where does he even look?
Up, down, left, right, everywhere he can. Unfortunately, even if he used the shield as a parasol, the damage would still find a way to him. So Revenge actually gets some work done on the Soldier 76. The Outlaws, I mean, I guess you kind of want to play together with your Reinhardt, but against what Hangzhou were bringing, that's a death sentence.
And do you stay on this if you're the Spark? Now, you're getting close to Valkyrie and Barrage. They probably do to at least try and play around, you know, maybe this EMP that Bazzi's farming up here, so.
Is Revenge going to show us some perfect tracking?
I tell you what, you know, we don't talk about it often, we don't see it. EMP plus tac visor is pretty devastating as well. You get the Mercy damage boost in there.
Revenge, always thinking about it. Hangzhou have not switched up their comp here. And the Outlaws are split on the point, by the way. They're split pretty much straight down the middle, purely because of Godspeed's pressure. And here comes the Hammond. Oh dear, Boy just gets completely chunked out there by Godspeed. And here it is, the tactical visor. Revenge getting work done. Spree falling. And now he can just sit inside that biotic build and be pretty safe as he applies constant, consistent pressure to Muma, who just has the hop, skip, and jump backwards. Jake trying to face the music as he comes out of the doorway, but he's met by a barrage of projectiles, bullets, and other harmful things. The Transcendence was very timely for the Outlaws. Oh, it takes some weight off their shoulders, and it gets Hangzhou off their front lawn.
Yeah, no Smite there. He tries to just roll into them as Wrecking Ball, just trying to knock them back because they know how close they were to potentially taking that. the Spark, they'll go all the way back to the spawn. And some of the remaining members, I know, in the hero slug screen, they'll switch things up. Of the Reinhardt version of the 3-3, an exact mirror on the side of the Outlaws.
Respect for the comp, at least. Obviously, Mumo will be far closer to his Earth Shatter. In fact, it's going to be 5%. Hangzhou, again, want to try and find a way in, or find at least a way to exploit Houston's positioning. Are they split? Is there anyone that's not standing with the rest of the team? How can we use our speed boost gainfully? So far, it just means getting through the catacombs and setting up close to the point. And they're going to butt heads for a little bit again. War of attrition will be the name of the game.
And No Smite just keeps going around the corner here and not putting the shield up right away. Because you can't come around here with the shield up, you'll just take so much damage that Muma's going to win the shield war no matter what. I mean, see, now that they push onto the point, they feel like they have a little bit of advantage in terms of shield. You see Muma when he puts it up, looks like it's going to crack.
I mean, Hangzhou don't mind taking a little bit of damage if it's something that their healers can remedy and get themselves some ultimate presented. Oh, the Earth Shatter. It was looking good. No Smite was knocked out of the way, and Muma makes sure he commits to finding that kill. And Hangzhou, having just switched to this composition, don't have the tools or really the answers to stop Houston doing this, so they have to accept it. Rhea, very cheeky, just snuck out through the little crack that was left for him. But he's not going to get back to spawn. The Outlaws are adamant. Oh, no! This staggers him out so much. Rhea's the son on the point. He can't get away. This is filthy. Hangzhou almost back, by the way, so Rhea needs to be dispatched up now.
And he doesn't want to demech. I mean, he doesn't want to remech because he gets back in the mech, they'll just demech him again. No Smite. Nothing he can do, he backs up.
But you know what that does? That stagger allows the Outlaws to get a second fight win, and Muma almost has another shatter. See, normally the stagger just means that the enemy team has to wait longer, but in that case, Outlaws actually get kills and ult present as a response.
I mean, you can use Dante's grab to build shatter here, as well as, by the way, Godspeed, he's held on to his energy because he hasn't died. In the big fight where the Spark, everybody dropped as soon as they switched over this comp. He backed all the way out. So you see, he's still sitting pretty at like 80%.
I mean, he's very happy with that. And with both of his barriers off cooldown now, being at 70, he's going to be well charged up in this fight. But again, he won't be the only one with the Graviton Surge.
You see the discipline there from the Outlaws. As soon as he pops his own personal bubble, all incoming damage just stops immediately.
It's a good look for them. The Outlaws are ahead in time bank now, but that's the rally. That's the starter's pistol, the go signal, the green light. Hangzhou push forward now. Muma trying to get around the backside with an Earth Shatter, but the Transcendence making it hard for any damage to stick after the fact. Good response from the Outlaws, though. Raucous, almost like clockwork. No pun intended. Bringing that one to bear. They're off the point, though. The Outlaws got grabbed away from the point. They still lead by about a minute and a half in terms of the time bank. They're probably a little bit annoyed that they didn't really lose the fight in its entirety. They just got dragged off. We have a couple more playthroughs here on Temple of Anubis, so don't go too far. Spark eventually prevail after multiple fruitless attempts at capturing point B. Eventually they come up with the answer. It's just grab the Outlaws off the point.
And I'm kind of shocked to see the Outlaws come out here on defense with the Reinhardt setup again. Because I think as soon as the Spark see this, they're gonna just run a ton of DPS. So I think right now what they'll probably do, or they'll probably have Bazzi coming out of the spawn check. Maybe you'll see some other changes. Maybe this will be kind of like a different variation they'll decide to run with. Because this would be 2-2-2. 2 tanks, 2 supports, 2 damage dealers. Let's see. They get a view, and now you have players come back to the spawn.
That would have been quite novel to see a 2-2-2 comp. Okay, so they will go with a similar approach as before.
Same thing.
And the Outlaws again. I mean, they probably should expect this. In all fairness, given the attackers can sort of just scout them, change their comp. How do they play around this Reinhardt?
And we talked about all day, like, this is usually why you see the Winston version of Victory on defense.
History is literally repeating itself, Boyd! You just did the same thing! Gods just hits him with a very slick air shot.
I mean, to be in Boink's defense, how do you pressure the opposing team's Widowmaker?
Okay, that's
you can't just send the Diva up
But
there.
Matt, they're playing the same comp that they did before.
Yeah.
Like, it's identical. Were they not expecting Hangzhou to go for the same setup here?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not. Maybe they expected them to go with a more tank-heavy setup.
Nice return from Boink there, though. Finding Bazzi here. Spree desuited. Wow, Soldier 76 getting some work done there inside that Bardic field, but we chase down a little bit. Jake falling does mean that there's a player down here on the Houston Outlaws, and Revenge can return to his perch and pressure down without having to worry about the brick. Boink just walks into this one. Revenge is... I mean, we don't often get to see Soldier 76 set up on this perch play like this, and Revenge is also just having a Discord all point on him, saying, that's fine, I'll back away, I'll let Godspeed continue to do the work, because this Pharah is tearing the Outlaws apart.
And that's exactly why you need the Winston, because with all the damage coming down from the high ground, there's no way for the Outlaws to get up there. There's no... I mean, that's why you see Boink just kind of playing like a madman, riding on the walls. It's like their only source of like displacement for players up on the high ground.
Yeah, I personally refuse to believe that like Houston didn't think Hangzhou would play something like that again. I'd love to know sort of what the idea is with the setup around the Reinhardt. Unfortunately, for the second time, it doesn't work, but they last a little bit longer on a point now, and Hangzhou have 1 minute and 13 seconds to pressure B. That's a rally from Jake, keeping the morale up in and out of game.
They know so much damage is about to come through. You know, the EMP, Valkyrie, Minefield, Rocket Barrage.
There it is. That's the EMP. Only getting Raucous, though, and Raucous survives it and still has Transcendence. Revenge now, this is what normally happens to a Soldier 76 when there's a bunch of shields in the game. He doesn't do anything.
They probably could have got a better EMP than that. I mean, you could have just hacked Raucous and then dived in.
Right.
And got them to invest probably Barrier, and then came back and just... Then if you wanted to solo EMP Raucous, that's fine, because there's no other support.
I mean, Matt, that was probably the scariest thing for the Outlaws, that EMP and the potential to have them broken down. Now, they're probably feeling pretty good.
Oh, they feel great. I mean, look, everybody resetting their ultimates here for the Spark. Everybody making a hero change. The Outlaws have everything here. I mean, this is their fight to lose.
First fight at point A, not going great for the Outlaws, but they have the staying power here on point B, and that really is all that matters at the end of the day. 6 seconds left, and Hangzhou have to find something. They'll have no ultimates, man. They were forced to change their comp, so they have to do it the old-fashioned way. No Smite is knocked down, but the rest of the Spark have to come forward and deliver, and it's an Earth Shatter. No Smite falling off the bridge. That was the death knell. And now this is the eulogy being spoken for the Hangzhou in this map. And again, they needed this one big time, but the Outlaws say no. Oh, man. Actually brutal. The Outlaws now in a position just to, well, be 3-0 in the series.
So, you know, the last time we did see Spark on the defense, it was really like positional errors, which ended up costing them, and we were joking a little bit about it with how the supports were just kind of running around one side to the other.
Well, the rotations were weird.
They ended up in a really bad spot, where I think if they don't end up sending the supports, you know, out the way you're going to see here in a second. So we can watch it from this. So this is the view that I'm watching it from. Look at where the Lucio and the Brig are.
They got booped
That
out by
is the
Spree.
offensive side, and they are on defense. And then this is where you're going to see they're
Jake is
turn.
1v2ing them.
Yeah. Well, no, it was like they were trying to trap them in there, and then at one point they just decided, the Outlaws, like, okay, well, let's just not let them out towards the bridge and just give them the other way. Maybe they could have made it out if they would have pushed the tanks up to the choke, which they kind of did, but to go all the way through the other side of the choke, you're asking a lot, man.
Sometimes you just have to look up and ask yourself, how did I get here?
That was like if you've ever played competitive with Sideshow, he goes on these odds and yada.
Oh no, he knows how we got there.
Yeah.
He took a train ticket to get there.
But it was one of those where you use the Transcendence to get out of the other team's spawn.
You know, he took his visa to get behind the enemy team on his own. Don't you worry.
So they'll have the Winston on defense here. So, the Outlaws still going to run. All right, never mind. They're going to go back as soon as they see Winston. They're going to change off of that. Movement not going to play Torb, as he'll go over to Reinhardt. So as soon as they see Winston, they move off of the damage dealers. They go with the tanks.
Now, big advantage for attackers here. They kind of get to pick and choose their composition based on that info. The scouting. Knowledge is power. No Smite would disagree, saying that Tesla Cannon is power.
Okay, so the Spark supports are going to go into the same spot that they went to the previous time. They're up on the high ground now. Let's see how they decide to rotate this time. It cannot be the same way as we've just seen.
Revenge just got smashed across the map and had to get a repair pack there. That's why he had armor at all.
The Outlaws recognize it again. You see their outlines on the screen. They're going to go up. This is when you... Okay, so this is a little bit different. No Smite was not playing up here last time.
Ooh.
They hear the Winston jump across, and they're going to go down to the point.
This is intentional. They are splitting Moomer off intentionally to try and draw some attention down. It doesn't really work.
They're trying to bait somebody onto the point.
Well, Spree looked like he was trying to knock the Zarya down from the high ground, and then, you know, the Outlaws could sort of leap upon it. But here you go.
They commit to going up top. Here's the support rotation. The Outlaws now will round around the back. And the Outlaws are going to try and force the same thing they did last time.
This is what they wanted.
In the Spark, go for it.
Yep. They're going to get 3 supports, all caught off on their own. The Outlaws now just doubling back and dealing with them. Oh, God. Yeah, they're not going to make it to Mordor, sorry. IDK is down and Bazzi is caught out. That was fascinating, Matt, to walk through those rotations. The Outlaws got exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, I mean, they forced the exact movement they were trying to get out of the Spark. The only thing the Spark could have done differently is instead of speed boosting all the way around, maybe trying to fake it, have the tanks come back up onto the bridge, and then take the fight there. You're probably better off doing that than taking the fight where you did. You will have no Smite touch the point. He's gonna, oh, he dies just as he gets Primal and not able to pop that ult.
Hangzhou needed that one so badly. Now it's the Transcendence that they need. But he's not there. Revenge is still so far away. Walkus has one of his own, though. And the point A take is complete. The Outlaws now, their goal is clear. 1/3 of the capture on point B will give them the map and the series, and they're not stopping for anyone. Now, Hangzhou have a lot of ultimates here to hold them up. No Smite, though, almost gets caught out. That Transcendence was very timely. It's just as well Revenge didn't use it in the prior fight. Sound barrier from the Outlaws, though, just to pad them out against this setup. Oh, the self-destruct. Moomer definitely avoids it. Charging there. Bazzi goes down. RDK missing as well. The Houston Outlaws looking for their first win in the 2019 season of the Overwatch League. And they may well have it. Revenge is down. Rhea just going to get fire struck. And there you have it. Vindication for the Houston Outlaws. Looking poorly adjusted early on. Now get that first win in week 2. All by catching us. Nicely done. And again, thumbs up here. There you go. Still another map to come in this series. The Outlaws have got what they came for, though. And the rest is the cherry on top.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Three maps in the bag. One more up for grabs here for the Houston Outlaws. So interesting setups in general, Matt, across both teams that we saw on Temple of Anubis. Curiously as well, when he we talk a little bit about Houston's defensive setup. They're playing the Reinhardt. It's a composition they know is probably going to be weak into this damage dealer heavy comp that we saw Hangzhou bring, but if they can keep that composition onto the second point, maybe they're looking for just to stop or to grind out Hangzhou.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point that Mitch brought up during the break when we were just chatting about the match. It's like the Houston comes out with the Reinhardt on defense, which allows the Spark to play a lot of those damage-dealing heroes. And once the Spark take point A, they don't switch right away. They hold on, they want to use some of those ultimates. The Outlaws, with the way that point B is kind of constructed, can play really close together, maybe invest 1 or 2 support ultimates. And then at that time, the Spark switch, at that point, you may as well just stay on it with like 30 seconds left.
Which is what they
switch
did
everybody
the time before that.
Yeah, they switch everybody, and then the Outlaws have a huge ultimate advantage. And there's no way you're going to win Reinhardt 3 tank 3 support versus Reinhardt 3 tank 3 support with 0 ultimates versus like 4.
And we saw it, like the first time the Hangzhou were on the attacking side, they did stay on that composition and they did use the ultimate. So they tried to EMP, didn't really hit anyone. The tactical visor didn't have a huge impact. So, you know, I understand why they want to switch up there, but with so little time left, it is possible to say that Houston were just trying to hold out for the point B fight and giving up the point A fight, knowing they stick to the comp. So that is reasonable to suggest, and it worked for them.
And what a turnaround this would be for the Outlaws if they get the 4-0 here. So Revenge goes out, maybe it comes in. But if the Outlaws get a 4-0 here, I mean, this is a Spark team who, if they would have won this match, was looking at the top of the league tie with NYXL, but was at 3-0. And potential on map differential, what would have happened in this series, they could have been #1.
Well, basically,
and they come in here and they have the potential to get 4-0'd by the Outlaws.
Like, how do I show someone a ladder after, you know, sort of week 2 and go, this is where we're at right now? Because we see a lot of situations where teams, you know, are being felled by opponents that otherwise probably shouldn't really get the better of them if you, you know, want to look at the transitive property.
You know, a lot of the times, though, as you see so far, we've been in this series, you know, Dorado will be the final map. When teams have kind of gone 50-50 against other teams, it's really been like, you know, strong 3 tank triple support versus strong tank 3 tank 3 supports, and they've just kind of gone head-to-head and exchanged fights, and maybe one fight or the other changes it. I think for Houston today, it's really been like this little bit of a lineup of adjustment. Spree still in the game. You know, we obviously just played the sub just for the Spark. Spree still in the game, and Jake still in the game. So they've trusted those guys to play a lot of the series here alongside, you know, Dante, Muma, Raucus, and Boink, who we really haven't seen come out for the Outlaws. And I think that's been the real difference maker today.
Lynx are dominant, obviously, on control, but the Outlaws won't be playing that kind of map type again in this series. It won't be a map 5. The W's already been secured. Now it's about that map differential, which, by the way, they definitely do need some of. It's going to help them a lot, especially like losing a couple game 5s here means that map differential isn't too bad even after a couple losses. So this can definitely put them back up into the black, so to speak.
They may play Pharah here. As soon as the Outlaws see this, let's see what they decide to do. The Outlaws come out here with Winston. As soon as they see Ryan, does everybody go back to the spawn?
Yep.
Yep. Everybody back in the spawn. So let's see what they decide to do.
And Hangzhou, surely they don't hold as far forward now if they're expecting a composition switch. We'll see. A lot of theory crafting here.
Yeah. Okay, so they ought to not go with DPS here. They're going to go with a Reinhardt comp of their own.
Definitely a discussion was happening there in the Houston think tank.
You could go either way, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can decide to go with the Reinhardt-based composition, or you can go some DPS. Like a Pharah here catching him out in the choke would be pretty crazy. Same with, like, let's say for argument's sake, Dante went over and played as Sombra right now. You know, you get a hack onto IDK, they can't speed boost out, you get a good engage. That's a first fight win. But they do stay with the Reinhardt version of the triple tank, triple support here, at least in the beginning.
This setup for Hangzhou isn't just because they have nothing to lose necessarily. I mean, it gives them another fight. Yes, the payload will probably get through that first choke if Hangzhou were to be felled here. But they can do so much work. They play close against the Outlaws. They pressure Muma in just this kind of way. No Smite gets to swing freely, and then Jake picked up. Big shatter! Buzzy is charged in, but Dante will fall here, and Hangzhou need to play aggressive. If they hesitate for one moment, they're going to lose the fight.
You know, if you're the Spark, you probably, even if you lose this first fight, because you're playing so aggressive, you probably get 3 fights. They're backing up here now because they want to speed boost Bazzi back into the fight. So close to rally, you need that Brigitte there, and this will allow the Outlaws to get some payload progress.
Sure, they can still play this underpass choke point. They don't actually have to give that up here. So I quite like that. Graviton Surge, Transcendence is there for them. They have a lot to work with. Again, you see they're playing this corner. I don't want to get someone getting a head smashed in by Raucous and a volley of orbs or something like that. Godspeed notices Boinker set up on his own. Immediately, Hangzhou realized that there's a rotation going from the Outlaws up to the high ground, which is nothing too out of the ordinary. Here's the rallies, though, from both sides. It is go time. Godspeed trying to sit back as much as he possibly can. Movement went for that Earth Shatter. Comes out with nothing.
And Godspeed pushes in, he puts down a ton of damage, but he's also trying to get them to use all of their defense matrix. You want to make sure you get a good Graviton Surge here.
Raucous holding on to the Transcendence, but he might have a chance to use it. He gets Earth Shatter before he can go for it. And the Outlaws thinking they're making the big brain play, holding on to their Transcendence for later in the fight. No chance, no smite hits a big shatter to shut that idea down immediately.
Yeah, and it's just the game, right? Between Godspeed with the Graviton Surge and Raucous with the Transcendence. You want one for the other. It's almost like that, the kind of game of chicken we used to see where it was like Lucio's trying to, wait to use Sound Barrier after an EMP came off. Same exact thing. You need that Transcendence of Raucous to get through the damage that's going to come down once Godspeed drops his Graviton Surge.
In that sense, not so terrible that he had it saved or didn't have a chance to use it, whichever one is correct. Graviton Surge here. Spree just dropping that one on the corner and gets no smite. Good setup by Mumu, though, just to make sure that there was no way Hangzhou were escaping from that combo. And Andante nice and charged up. No reason for him not to go looking for stragglers. If he sees Zenyatta, he can burst him down. But this should allow Houston to take this checkpoint.
The Spark may be able to get back for... Nope, they're going to give it up. Actually, they may try and fight this.
Yeah,
they're going to go through quick. Yeah, they're going to try and fight it. They're going to get one more fight here. So Rhea has to touch, and he gets demeched because of it. They're going to use a Sound Barrier here as well. They want to prevent the Outlaws from taking first point. Only 20 seconds to go.
Earth Shatter, no smite, baby. Bazzi all down. Very important targets. Movement really connects with that one. And Spree eats up Godspeed's Graviton. Man, Hangzhou having all their options taken away from him. Remember that Transcendence that Raucous saved? Well, yeah, now he gets to use it. Thing is, Bebe had his back up at the same time, and now the Hangzhou Sparks start to push back a little more. Dante bowled over. Bebe in a safe position here. Spree's only just noticed that he's still alive, and Bebe has that rally armor, so he's going to be sticking around for a long time. No smite, unperturbed by the self-destruct dropping down in Spree. That Sound Barrier lasted scant seconds before it was torn from him, but it's ravenous Hangzhou squad. Earth Shatter to secure. Spree was already dead though. And Hangzhou gets set up on the payload now and push back. Well, Houston, I mean, Mumu doesn't look too disappointed. You're not going to be sad here, but they probably want a little bit more on that attacking side. Map differential is a thing. But Hangzhou looked like they were in shape there. Shame it took them too long. We'll be back after the break. See how Dorado ends up. Well, when there's pride on the line, it seems at least that's enough for Hangzhou to rise to the occasion. Staunch defense, they played very far forward on that defensive half and made it impossible for Houston to really make any significant process, Matthew, let alone that first checkpoint.
Yeah, where was that spark? The first 3 games. I think the lineup change for the Outlaws may have caught them off guard, and they didn't expect the Outlaws to come out and field a lineup that could play a lot of these damage-dealing heavy compositions. I think the Sombra of Dante early on in the series made an impact. When they roll out at the beginning, I think it kind of tells from map number 1. When the Outlaws roll out with all 3 of their damage dealers in the lineup, the Spark didn't really expect the Outlaws to kind of play them at their own game and play like these wacky comps, and they got caught off guard.
So Houston already, oh my lord, Bazzi picks Raucous off. This is why we actually see some teams like go for that Widowmaker just for that start push, and it works out. They actually all picked a bunch of DPS heroes just in case there was more damage to be done. Suffice to say, the Outlaws are backpedaling.
Yeah, but this pick is so big because look at how much free cart progress the Spark are going to get. And just think back about, 2 minutes ago, how long it took the Outlaws to get to this point. Like, the Spark are going to have a very long time as compared to the Outlaws to get to that golden box of victory.
Love that we're bringing that name back. Movement charging forward. Rio was hit. No Smite also removed from the action. Bazzi's able to get in there, and No Smite's hanging out. He's going to stay alive here. that Orb of Discord on him. Didn't really have enough follow-up, and the Outlaws have lost 3 unanswered kills so far on this half. And it doesn't look like things are slowing down anymore. The Hangzhou Spark here get themselves a consolation map in this series. But much is to be said right now about the balance of power in this league. Hangzhou were looking, like you said, Matt, it's like a top 2 team. But the Outlaws come out, big wrinkly brains on display, and completely outdo them.
I mean, if you just turned in for that last map, you'd be confused why the Outlaws are getting up. They won. I mean, the Spark looked great. But the Outlaws, I mean, throughout the series, though, I mean, they get the job done. This was obviously a must-win game for them. I think they came in and they treated it as that. And they come out with a very impressive 3-1 win against the Spark, who we kind of had towards the higher end of the league at this point.
Absolutely. I spoke to Flame earlier today. He said, I'm really happy with how our triple tank, triple support is going. And it showed. I think Houston showed that they were reactive. They were able to disengage when they needed to. Just definitely more cognitive kind of Overwatch going on, which they can definitely be pleased about. I think that's definitely something to take back going into next week. But now let's throw down to the floor with Mika and someone who needs very little introduction.
Both?
I guess both are a camera. You're right, we need very little introduction, but we have Jake here from the Houston Outlaws. Everybody give it up for Jake. All right, Jake, so everybody has been kind of, hyping up the team that you just went up against. Everybody's been pretty scared, so how did you keep a level head going into this matchup?
I think in this past week, we've just been so focused on our own gameplay and just totally, every fight, we're always talking about what's our strategy and how are we going to play to our effective plays. I think this is a meta where really any team can win. It's just about who plays better on the day of. So for us, it's just a matter of managing emotions and staying calm and playing how we practice.
Absolutely, and you've been staying super calm. Also on the Brigitte, we've been seeing you a lot more, especially today. So can we see you kind of settling into that role as the meta continues on before, it changes eventually?
I mean, we'll see. We have a really diverse roster, and I think part of what makes us such a strong team is that we're not really reliant on treating some players as subs and other players as starters. I think we're always ready to put in the player who makes the most sense for maybe it's our strategy, maybe it's the meta, maybe it's the team we're going up against. So I think what's going to make us strong is that we're unpredictable. We can always put different players in for different strategies.
I love that answer. That was such a high-level answer. Well, thank you, Jake, and thank you to the Outlaws, and thank you to the casters who we're going to send it back to.
Now, when a player starts an interview with, is this my camera? He's going to have some very well-measured words for you. Great to hear from Jake. It's been an insane day. We've had history made. We've had some huge upsets. Just incredible Overwatch in general. Chaos has ensued, Matt. We've laughed, we've cried, literally, in some cases. But we're happy, and we're loving the game. Guys, Watchpoint post-show is coming up right after this. That's where we're going to get our big brains on the desk to break it down. From myself, Mitch Leslie, from Matt Morello, thanks for being with us. We'll see you soon.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered. And by State Farm. Whatever life brings your way, State Farm is here to help life go right.